Okay, let's get right into it because a lot is happening. Right now, there is a single, incredibly high-impact weather system making its way across the country. But here's the thing. This isn't just one storm. It's basically a storm factory, and it's about to spin up three completely different, very powerful weather events, one right after the other. And this quote really gets to the heart of the situation. Forecasters are watching this thing in real time, and what they're seeing is, well, it's concerning. The whole system is slowing down, which allows it to suck in more moisture and more warm air, basically more storm fuel. And that's exactly why this situation is escalating so quickly. So to really get a handle on this, we're going to follow the storm's entire journey. First, we'll start with the most immediate danger, and that's a pretty significant tornado threat. Then, we're going to track the big winter storm it leaves behind. And finally, we'll look ahead to the real wild card, a potentially massive storm for the East Coast this weekend. All right, so let's zero in on that first most urgent threat. Right now, the Ohio Valley is square in the crosshairs. This is the spot where all the atmospheric ingredients are coming together just right to create a really dangerous environment for severe thunderstorms. And yes, that includes tornadoes. And to be clear, this is not some small, isolated event we're talking about. Over 10 million people are in the risk area for these severe storms today. That's a huge number of people who need to be paying very close attention. So, let's get specific. We're talking about a corridor that includes major cities like Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Louisville, Evansville, and Dayton. If you are anywhere in this zone, this afternoon is absolutely the time you need to be on high alert. Now, you might be wondering, how do meteorologists actually quantify this threat? Well, they use this really cool metric called the Significant Tornado Parameter, or STP. The easiest way to think about it is like a rating for how much tornado fuel is in the air. The higher the number, the more ripe the environment is. And right now, the values are spiking directly over that danger zone we just talked about. Okay, so timing is everything here. Around lunchtime, we'll see storms start to fire up. But the real peak danger, that main window for supercells that can produce tornadoes, is between about 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. After 7 o'clock tonight, things should start to get a bit more disorganized, and the main severe threat will finally begin to wind down. But here's the thing. As that severe weather threat in the Ohio Valley starts to fade tonight, this massive system is already shifting gears into its next phase. This is the very definition of weather whiplash. So now, let's talk about Act 2 for this system. On its colder western flank, all of that moisture is slamming into some seriously frigid air. And that, right there, is the perfect recipe for a powerful winter storm to crank up across the Midwest. And this just perfectly illustrates how dynamic this storm is. Think about it. A city like Chicago could be dealing with the threat of severe thunderstorms today, and by tomorrow, they'll be watching snowfall. That is an unbelievably rapid and dramatic change-up. And here's where that winter storm is headed. We're talking about areas from eastern Nebraska and Des Moines all the way across northern Illinois and then up through central Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan. All these spots need to get ready for some heavy, wet snow and some really gusty winds. Travel is going to be tough tonight and into Friday for sure. And no, this is not going to be just a light dusting. In those hardest hit zones, like parts of Wisconsin and near Des Moines, the forecasts are calling for a solid 4 to 8 inches of snow. All right, time for Act 3 of this whole weather drama, and this is where things get really, really uncertain. As the system chugs east, there's a chance it could redevelop into a major nor'easter this weekend, but right now, it's a huge forecast wildcard. So why all the uncertainty? Well, it all comes down to this. The two main global weather models are showing completely different stories. You've got the American GFS model, and it is forecasting a monster, a bomb cyclone that could just dump over a foot of snow on major East Coast cities. But then you have the European model, and it shows a much, much weaker system with just some light snow. It is a classic model showdown. And this quote right here, it really just sums it all up. If that GFS model turns out to be right, we could be looking at a possibly historic nor'easter. But that is a massive if. The potential is there for a huge, high-impact storm, but it is absolutely not a slam dunk at this point. Okay, that was a lot to cover. We've got tornadoes, we've got snow, and we've got a potential nor'easter. So let's just zoom out for a second and recap the most important things to know for the next few days. So here it is, your simple need-to-know summary. For the Ohio Valley, your threat is right now. Stay alert today. For the Midwest, that winter storm hits tonight and rolls into Friday. And for everybody on the East Coast, the message is simple: stay tuned and watch the forecast very closely as we get closer to the weekend. And just when you think it's over, once this whole complex system finally moves out, don't put those winter coats away. An Arctic blast is lined up right behind it, ready to drop temperatures across the entire eastern half of the country early next week. Yeah, winter is definitely not done with us yet. So that really leaves us with one final thought. Seeing one single weather system produce a tornado outbreak, a heavy snowstorm, and a potential nor'easter, it's a pretty powerful reminder of what our atmosphere can do. And as we start inching closer to spring, you really have to wonder, is a complex, high-impact event like this a preview of an extreme and active severe weather season to come?